All right, we're gonna pretend like this is working properly and we're gonna ship it. We're gonna send it, whatever the youngsters say nowadays. What can we do with a drunken sailor? What can we do with a drunken sailor? What can we do with a drunken sailor? Early in the morning. Hey guys, Mason back here with Soulfire Insight. Today we're talking about They Know That We Know. What I'm referring to, of course, is the state, right? Talking about the feds. They know that we know, and right now, in this current period of history here in the United States, we are seeing a crackdown and a tightening of their iron fist grip, right? We're seeing that they are eroding our rights very gradually. Over time this has happened, and so a lot of us over the years have not paid attention, and it's over a course of many administrations, but now it's all coming to a point, right? So I believe sometime last year in 2025, the Trump administration released or signed a bill called MPSM-7. MPSM-7. And so basically, this is a bill about pre-crime, right? And so it's giving law enforcement and the FBI and the feds a way to prosecute you for not for predicting a crime that you would do based off what you may say online or in public. And this is a form of discrimination, in my opinion, and obviously illegal. It's constitutionally illegal. We have the First Amendment, but now what they're doing is they're saying, well, if this person believes this thing and says these things online, or they talk about it and they're listening through our phones, then we could classify them as a pre-criminal. And it basically, it gets rid of the whole, like, what's the whole saying, basically like not guilty unless proven otherwise, right? That's been kind of the theme of the justice system for a while, kind of blind justice, right? Needing facts and evidence to prosecute someone for a crime. And now what we're seeing is just mere words alone is enough to make you a criminal, which is an erosion of our rights for sure. And they're monitoring this through AI algorithms on all these social medias. But they're also doing it in real life. They're listening to they're tapping our phones. They're listening to our phone calls. They're listening to us throughout our daily lives, because believe it or not, this device in your pocket that you carry around every day it's not so much a smartphone as it is a tracker. And we all use it. I'm not shaming anybody, but it's becoming clear it's more about the government getting in your home and listening and invading your rights to privacy than it is being this super great technology that's supposed to liberate humanity and make us excel intellectually and stuff with these smartphones. That's obviously not the case. So yeah, they know that we know. What I mean by that is that with MPSM-7, the bill being signed in by the Trump administration, well, this is just one of many bills that erode our rights, but we're going to start with that one because it's most present. And more and more people have realized and seen the behind the curtains of this game they play with us, right? This political theater, the right versus the left, the Democrats versus the Republicans, the three branches of government: executive, legislative, judicial, voting, and all this stuff. We're all seeing behind that now, finally, with the Epstein files released, and I'm seeing more and more people being awakened to the reality, which is nice. But it's also a little too late. But I'm also seeing a lot of people double down on defending these psychopaths in power, this parasitic class that we're dealing with. And they realize, based off of everything that they're seeing on social media, and this video might not get any views because I feel like I might be shadow banned, I don't know. But it does seem like there is a campaign to censor the real truth. And that's been going on for years, but it's coming to a point now. And not only are they going to censor us, they're going to try to prosecute us for not doing a crime based off of what we think or what we say, which is, that's a red flag and indicator that a country is headed towards some sort of totalitarian state, this tyrannical form of government. And let's be honest, government in itself has always been pretty much tyrannical. But that's a whole nother conversation. Yeah, basically they know we know. They see that a lot of people are waking up to the reality of things. And then in some way, you know, I often wonder, like, yes, there was a lot of public backlash because Trump campaigned on this previous campaign. He campaigned on releasing the Epstein files. He promised all his voters that. And then when he got in office, they didn't exist and it was a Democrat hoax. So, you know, obviously he's complicit somehow. But it's funny to see that. I often wonder, like, yes, there was public backlash and for not releasing it sooner, and for them avoiding, you know, bringing it to justice, bringing it to light as much as possible. But why would they release it at the time that they did? That's what I often wonder. And it does seem like they waited for the right moment to release these documents in order to distract the public from what they're doing behind the scenes. There's always layers to this. Like Frank Abairie's a famous author. He wrote the Dune books, you know, like the Dune movie and everything. And inside, I think that book, or maybe it was another one of his books, but he basically warns about charismatic leaders and how they lead us astray. Because in that story you have Paul Atreides, right? And Paul Atreides becomes this sort of galactic emperor dictator type deal. But he started with a fanatical fan base, or, you know, followers, which were the Freemen in the story. And the Freemen basically went on this holy war against the whole galaxy for Paul Atreides. And ended up being like they were betrayed in the end or something. So it's one of those situations where we have to be careful, you know, who we believe. But we also have to see, and this is what I was going to say, is that these people in power, this parasitic class, you know, it goes beyond. And look, I hate to be the Illuminati guy, but we'll call it something else. I mean, it doesn't have to be the Illuminati, but clearly, like, there is a cult that runs this world. I would say a death cult. And whatever you want to call that cult, it's clear that their agenda supersedes the interests of, you know, citizens and national state, like the national states, you know, like all the countries and their own policies and their own stances. It doesn't really matter because they had their hands in all these different countries. And we who know who these people are. I'm not going to say them on here because that would automatically get me banned. But you have to understand that these people have plans within plans within plans. This is something Frank Abairie, I think, talked about in the first Dune book, if I recall correctly. I read it. And basically he's saying that the people in power are Machiavellian, right? They are constantly manipulating our perception of reality, even by giving us the truth. It's the way in which they give us the truth. They gave us the Epstein files at the time that they did to distract you from the technocratic state that's being built right now. The AI data centers taking over this country, destroying communities, starving it of clean water, destroying the environment, and all the bills and legislation being passed to erode our rights, take away our rights to privacy, you know, stereotype us based off of generalizations and make it an actual crime, that's crazy. If the, I hate to say it, but if it was Biden in office right now and he did that, the Republicans would go crazy. But it's because they are so blinded by their allegiance to Trump. You could see that they're being blindsided. You could see that it doesn't matter if it's the right wing or the left wing that's in office. It's the same two wings of the same bird, and that is their agenda. That bird is part of that cult. If you really want to get technical, it goes back deep. But that's all useless. You don't need to know that information to know that there is a death cult that runs this world and somehow influences our elections and our politicians and lawmakers from passing legislation that's anti-American, anti-people, period, anti-earth, And so what we're seeing with the MPSM-7 bill and many other things like Palantir and Palantir's AI surveillance system that they've set up and given to law enforcement and ICE and stuff. We're seeing that, well, they're using the excuse about trying to get the illegals out, but it's almost as if they orchestrated that whole situation with letting millions of illegals into our country so that they could, they created the problem so that, like, there was literally an opening in the fence, like, where millions of people were just pouring through our border. And it's like, they could have fixed that, right? But they didn't. We give them all our tax money. They didn't fix that little hole. People were just walking in. So obviously they created that problem so that they could give us their solution, which is mass surveillance. And it wasn't just about getting the illegals out. It was about, hey, maybe we can trap these people here to be slaves forever. Maybe we can erode their rights to privacy. Maybe we can put the fear of God in them and control them. Because when people are in a state of fear, they're easier to control. And so it's obvious to me, at least, that that's what they're doing. Palantir is a corporation that I believe probably lobbyism, meaning they donate a lot of fucking money to politicians in Congress to pass legislation that they want passed that benefits them. That's corruption. If you want to really get technical, that's what corruption is. But Palantir is that company that, it's just sick. The fact that it's already existing in full totality and operating and has legs and it's walking, it sickens me to my core. And the fact that so many Americans are just like, I wouldn't worry about that shit. Like, I get told that a lot. I'm just like, wow, I'm not having a conversation with you again about this sort of stuff. Because if that's your reaction or your stance on what's happening in this country, then I hate to say it, but you're just you're a non-playable character. You're a fucking NPC. Like, you really are an NPC. Like, you are buying into what they want you to do, which is to become apathetic and to be all overwhelmed and be like, oh, I can't do anything about it, so I don't even worry about it. I don't listen to none of that shit. And it's like, God, those same people 4 years ago were going berserk over some shit. So it's fun living here on Earth, especially here in the United States of America right now. It's just a complete shit show. There's a lot of confusion going around, but those of us who know, right? We know what's going on, and we're spreading information to the masses. And our memes, this is like a meme war or something, are ironically, like, our memes are a threat to the state because it's wakening people up. It's making them question, the narratives that they're told on the news and everything and social media. But yeah, they're tight in their grip right now. And you know what that tells me? It tells me that they actually fear us. And that's why they try to dominate us how they do. And I use the word domination because Palantir's CEO, Alex Karp, you should really look this guy up and watch some videos of what he believes. He's a nut job. Dude's crazy. And hey, Alex Karp, if you're watching, I got one in the chamber for you, buddy. Come here, please. I'm waiting, praying for the day that you get executed. I hate to say it. But there are certain people on this earth that need to be eliminated. And that's one of those people. He believes that he wants to dominate the United States of America. He created this whole apparatus for a kill chain, AI technology, under the illusion that we're going to use it for war, but he's using it against Americans, right? And that's what they always do. They always come up with some excuse. And if you can't see this right now, it's like you might just be blind. You might just have some blindfolders on. Or you just have your la 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 la, you just have your fingers in your ear. It's like see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. That's what's happening right now. A bunch of fucking monkeys. Monkey see, monkey do. It's like, but a lot of us are awakening, like I said, and it's powerful. It doesn't require all of us to awaken in order to change things. I don't believe that. But I do believe that in order for us to change things, we have to spread awareness, and we can't have this mentality that, oh, I just don't want to talk about it because I can't do nothing, or that stuff overwhelms me, or when you get my age, you just don't worry about that shit. Like, these kind of things I've heard from people, I'm just like, wow, you're a dipshit. Like, you're an absolute dipshit. And like, I hate to say it because I know that sounds really offensive, and it is, no doubt. You're being called stupid right now because you're being stupid. Because liberty and freedom are one of the most important things to fight for. You don't keep it in the world that we live in now by doing nothing and just hoping and praying that the guys in power don't fucking screw us over. Because what happens is power corrupts. When you get in a position of power where you can dominate others, the mind naturally wants to control outcomes, right? And so when you become in that position of power, say you're a politician or a billionaire or something, you want to make sure that nobody's going to come after your power and threaten your sense of control. That's what it is at the end of the day. At the root of it, these people in power, they have control issues, the control freaks. But I don't think saying, well, I don't pay attention to that stuff, is really the right answer, because our freedoms are really on the line. Like, this isn't a conspiracy theory, this is reality. Like, you could go double check what the fuck I'm talking about and you'll see what I'm saying. So I just think that if your excuse is that, then I guess, and if that's the majority of people's opinion, which I don't think it is, but if that is, those people, whoever those people are, we need to stop talking to them about this stuff, because clearly they are just like a drain. Like, they're just a waste of energy having that conversation, because they clearly don't want to actually participate in it. And I think when you try to force a conversation on people, they kind of double down, they get stubborn like that. So it's like, just plant seeds is all you can do. Speak the truth, plant seeds, and focus on teaching people that actually are open-minded and want to listen and want to learn, because those are the people that are going to save us from this reality. And what's crazy is, like, people don't think long-term very much. Like, they don't think about long-term implications. I've spoke about this in the past, but people don't see but only a few steps in front of them. And that could be good sometimes, right? Like, when you're trying to ground yourself in the moment and stay stuck in your routine, or not stuck, I shouldn't say stuck, but stay consistent with your routine. Routines can be powerful. But to limit yourself of knowledge that is imperative for you to learn, because it does have long-term implications on you or someone you love, just because you don't feel like listening to it, man, that's a cop-out. That's like, to me, that's a signal of a weak mind. Like, that's a signal of somebody that just can't handle the truth, because it threatens their comfort, right? Which is all comfort is. It's a false sense of security. But back to my point, I think that only maybe 10 to 20% of the population needs to wake up and do something about it. And a lot of us already are at that point, but we need to do something about it, because at this point we're looking at we're speed running dictatorship, you know. And the thing with the feds and the government is they always try to create whatever you want to call it, false flags, psyops, events that give them the justification to steal more of our rights and to become more controlling and to take away our freedoms even more and to force us into ultimatums and choices that they've pre-planned. Like I said, there's plans within plans within plans with these people. And I get it, like if you read some of the Epstein files, you might have this kind of visceral reaction like, that's not real, I can't believe any of that. And I get it. It's hard to digest that level of darkness. But people have been calling it satanic panic for a long time. They've said that, you know, these people, they've criticized it, ridiculed, and scoffed at us, and, you know, they've laughed at us for realizing the truth that there are profoundly sick individuals in places of power on this planet and in our governments that have belief systems that are not at all aligned with you. They may say it's aligned with your belief systems, but I promise you that's not the case, right? And so this is not hysteria. This is not satanic hysteria of some simple-minded person, right? This is real. Like, you know, it goes back, a lot of what you see in the Epstein files, if you actually take the time to look at it, and it's horrible. I've been knowing about this stuff for years, way longer than any of you, people I know. I won't say you because I don't know, but my journey started when I was 14 years old. But anyways, just learning all this stuff. It's pretty clear that satanic people run this planet, you know, and that they worship evil and the devil and death. They're a death cult. That's what they do. And satanic ritual abuse was a phenomenon that was happening a lot, and a lot of psychologists and stuff and the media back in the day were kind of like calling it all panic and hysteria and mass psychosis. That a lot of these people were saying that they were abused and molested and raped in these satanic rituals, you know. But that's a lot of what that is in the Epstein files. A lot of these pedophile sex trafficking rings, they are full of people that do that. They're profoundly evil, and those people are in our government, and we're paying taxes to those people, right? We're giving our hard-earned money, our livelihood to these people. You have to really like sit with that. That's profoundly not right. There's something profoundly morally wrong, objectively wrong, practically wrong, on all levels wrong with that. But we continue and we continue. And I don't know, man. I think that people need to start like really waking up to the reality of the political theater that's going on, you know. And they are. There's more and more people awakening, you know. I think Rona helped wake a lot of people, you know. Those years were gruesome for a lot of us and really peeled the layers back and peeled our eyes open, right? For me, I already knew it was going to happen. I already knew why it was going to happen. But it happened, and a lot of people suffered, and I think the biggest suffering is the fear it caused. It caused a lot of fear. And you could be saying I'm fear-mongering. I mean, I could see that maybe if you don't want to like really dive into the details, you might kind of just label what I'm saying as conspiratorial fear-mongering and just dismiss it as that and not give it the light of the day to actually investigate for yourself. But I implore you to think for yourself. Please do your research. Look up what I'm saying and do your research. You know, maybe you'll see what I'm talking about. Anyways, I'm gonna cut this video here. They know that we know. And we know that they know that we know. So there's that too. There's that. It's just kind of like this tension building. It's just great tension in our country that's building and building and building. And I think a lot of us are ready to pop that bubble. You know, and what that looks like, I don't know. The man JFK, he was our president, right? And he said that something along the lines of, to make a non-violent revolution impossible is to guarantee a violent revolution. And I'll just leave it there. He said something along those lines. And it's just food for thought. Catch you guys later.